one game away. Blow up. We're playing for something, man. We're playing for something. It's gotta mean something to you. It gotta mean something. Everything you got. Everything you got. Let's finish this.
Do it, fellas.
Let's go.
Let's do it, fellas.
Finish 2 3. 1 2 3. Finish.
What the fuck is up? You dig? What's good with it, man? How dope was the day? Did you tell somebody you fuck with them, you loved them, the whole nine? Did you not the whole nine? Let's act like it's not important. Come on now, be better. What's good with it, man? It's been a day. It's been a long day. Pretty sure y'all's was longer, but let's go ahead and get into it. A couple things we got to go ahead and talk about today. I said I was going to talk about the AFC, and I'm definitely going to be talking about the AFC tonight. But, you know, I usually when I start, I'm like, yo, I just got done watching this. I just got done watching that. I ain't got done watching shit. Did not get done watching shit. My mama called me and she wanted some wings from KFC. I don't know why she liked these nasty ass wings from KFC, but she do. And every time you go get them, they gotta make them fresh. So basically they frozen and they gotta throw them bitches in the fryer. So it's not even making them fresh. They just gotta, you know, the dirtiest version of fresh possible. Where it's frozen, and frozen is not really fresh, but they make it basically made to order. That's a better word. That's a better phrase for it. Made to order those wings, and she get them sauceless. For one, I'm not really a big KFC guy no more. I used to think KFC was lit. Don't really like KFC no more. But not only KFC, I'm not a chicken person. Like, that's why it was always funny when I ran into racist people back in the day who tried to crack chicken and watermelon jokes. And I'm like, motherfucker, I don't like chicken or watermelon. So, I mean, you laughing with yourself right now because the joke's stupid. But when I say I don't like chicken, I eat party wings here and there, like Buffalo B-dubs, might be some other type of dope wing spot or whatever. Bro, if you can get to a wing spot that serve party wings but serve fire ass all beef hot dogs, bro, you on to something serious. Especially if the chili don't have beans in it, bro. Like, to me, it's a hot dog chili, and it's a chili that you just eat without hot dogs and as a dish by itself. It's like when I used to be a manager at Wendy's and cook at Wendy's when motherfuckers used to come through the line and they order because we was near Duke in Carolina, so they order yo, let me get some chili cheese fries. Maybe somebody who never ordered chili cheese fries from Wendy's before ordered some chili cheese fries. He like, yo, let me get some chili cheese fries. Like 3 minutes later, he come back through the drive-thru and like, yo, you know these chili cheese fries got beans in them and tomatoes and peppers? And I'm like, yeah, my G, that's because the chili come with peppers, beans, tomatoes, all that type shit. He was like, nah, y'all don't got like chili for like fries? I'm like, nah, B, I know what you talking about, but that's not the type of chili they serve here in Wendy's, my guy. They use the chili that you eat individually, which they pop off on in the wintertime. Chili fly out the fucking door during the wintertime. Old people come there just for the chili. It's crazy. Chili and baked potatoes, you gotta have them shits on stocked. But fresh batches of chili gotta be made frequently. Like, the way chili run out the door during the wintertime is amazing at Wendy's. But I had to tell buddy, the chili that you eat individually that they serve here is the same chili they put on chili cheese, anything. Anytime you want to add chili to something that you would add in like a different type of spot, like a cookout or something like that, the chili gonna have beans, peppers, and all that shit in it. My man was not happy. He said, well, can I just get fries with just the cheese on it, no chili? I was like, yeah, I got you, B. Like, he was not happy about that. And I wouldn't be either, bruh. Like, come on, man. Now, I'm gonna tell you what's wild. At Wendy's, when we serve the Carolina burger, they bring in regular chili. Like, they bring in a specific chili just for that burger. And that chili is more like the chili that they serve at, like, Cookout. And the chilies that they put on at other hot dog spots that don't have the crazy chili. Like, that's the type of chili that Buddy would have been looking for. So here's a secret for you. If you the type of person who just randomly want to go to Wendy's for some reason for chili cheese fries, maybe you just love Wendy's fries, and you really want chili cheese fries without the beans in them, go to Wendy's when they serving the Carolina Classic and ask them, can I get chili cheese fries with the chili and say, can you substitute the normal chili with the chili that you put on the Carolina Classic? And boom, you're gonna have yourself a fucking party in your mouth. I'm trying to tell you, shit gonna be lit. Now, I do know some people don't like it when you sprinkle the extra cheese on it, like the little shredded cheese. Some people do. Most of the people who I done served it don't. They usually like hold the shredded cheese. So I guess that extra shredded cheddar, that sharp cheddar, is not for everybody. And I be hating on Wendy's. It ain't really hating, bro. I'm just going based off of the experience I had. But it just is what it is. But we got to take care of some shit, man. Matt Ryan traded to the Colts. I got a lot of feelings on that. Marcus Mariota with the Falcons. Baker Mayfield. Nobody wants him. And we'll just go off base. Oh, and real quick, Darius. Okay, two other things. Terran Armstead. I can't remember how you pronounce his first name, or I'm not thinking of his first name right now. Saints former tackle. He just signed with Miami on I think it was a 3-year deal for $87 million, or maybe a 5-year deal for $87 million. Regardless, he signed on a big deal. It's crazy when you think about it, because he usually defend the blind side of quarterbacks, but because Tua is left-handed, he don't defend the blind side. The right tackle and the right guard actually help defend the blind side. So that's actually interesting. But get your money, my guy. And Zadarius Smith, he signed with the Vikings. So he was with the Ravens. Said, not enough money, my guy. Ended up signing with the Vikings, so he back in that division. So good for him. He did what's best for him in his career, him and his family. I'm not mad at that. But gotta talk about the Colts. See, the Colts move is interesting to me because I don't really know how to feel about it. Okay? So I said that the Colts was stupid I didn't say they was stupid, but I just didn't agree with the fact that they traded that they traded Carson Wentz. Because I thought it was an impulsive decision. I thought, you look at how last year ended, you probably got that L from Clown Town still in your mind. People talking about Carson and shit like that. And they're not going to say none of this shit publicly, obviously. They're not going to dog Carson Wentz. But you just made an impulsive decision. However, it was the right decision, just not yet, in my opinion. Because obviously I don't think they was winning the Super Bowl with Carson Wentz or nothing like that. And really it depended on what the contract was still looking like. I just don't think... What was one more year gonna do? Seeing as how you got rid of you lost the first round. See, that's what really it is to me. The first round pick that you lost because of Carson Wentz. But at the end of the day, you trade him. None of this matter no more. You get Carson. You trade him to the Commanders, and eventually, I was wondering who they was gonna get. I thought they might have tried to draft, even though they don't draft high enough to get a solid quarterback. Plus, they saying this quarterback draft might be a bad draft. But I was listening to somebody, Ian Rappaport, talk about how everybody was talking about after the Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota draft, that every draft after that was kind of weak. It wasn't that good. And every quarterback in drafts after that draft pretty much done been better. All the top quarterbacks in those drafts after Mariota and Jameis pretty much done been better than both Jameis and Mariota. And Mariota has been a journeyman quarterback for the longest now. And Jameis Winston could possibly turn into that if he don't, knock it out of the water in New Orleans. Speaking of Jameis, he just signed a 2-year deal to stay with the Saints. He got a lot of guaranteed money in that contract. I'm happy for him because I was one of the people who didn't think Jameis should come back to the Saints. It's not that they was trying to get Deshaun Watson. That wasn't the thing. Obviously, Deshaun Watson is a better quarterback, so it's not that would have bothered me. It's the fact that the offense and whatnot built around me last year was not built around me. It was basically a handicap, hold my hand type of offense where you limited my best abilities and shit. I'm not trying to deal with that bullshit for another year. You're clearly not really committed to me because sometimes y'all be going back and forth with Taysom Hill. I pray to God that Dennis Allen saw enough of Taysom Hill to where he do not keep trying that experiment what, Sean Payton was doing, but regardless, Jameis is back in New Orleans. I think if Michael Thomas is on the field and healthy, Jameis healthy, Kamara healthy, this offense, and they don't try to handicap Jameis the entire fucking season and try to baby sit him throughout games and shit and just let this man be a quarterback and live with the results, then the Saints could end up being a good team in this division. Not to mention Dennis Allen defense has dominated Brady and the Bucs. So there's that. But hopping back to Indy. So Indy trade ended up bringing over Matt Ryan. I kind of knew Matt was going to get traded or released just for the simple reason. And I knew people was talking about, the dead money cap hit that they're going to take. I just knew at the end of the day it wasn't going to matter. The Falcons delayed their rebuild probably 2 years. A year, definitely, longer than it had to be. They should have started this a year ago. Nevertheless, you get off of Matt Ryan, you have no quarterback because Marcus Mariota is just going to be a placeholder till you find the guy. To me, I bet you the Falcons are sick that they couldn't offer Deshaun what the fucking Browns did, because Deshaun would make a lot of sense in Atlanta right now. However, don't care about Atlanta right now. Going back to the Colts. I don't really know, because at first when the trade first happened, I was like, this don't really make them better. And then I'm listening to more and more people, and it's not really that they influencing me. I'm just listening to different points of views and different aspects of this thing. And, the things that I will say that's positive about the trade, Carson Wentz to me, see, it's so hard to say that Matt Ryan is definitely better than Carson Wentz, because I don't think Matt Ryan is better than Carson Wentz in the physical aspect of the game. I don't think he a better thrower than Carson Wentz. I don't think he got a better arm than Carson Wentz. I actually think Matt Ryan got a pretty dead arm at times in games. I think his arm is actually pretty weak. I just don't think. Not to mention, if you want to talk about dudes having weapons and not having weapons, Matt Ryan has never not had a plethora of all pro level weapons until recently in his career. But the thing is, even though I don't think Matt Ryan is better physically than Carson Wentz, as a veteran, just, understanding the game, football IQ, giving the ball, not checking out of runs and shit like that. Just, I do believe I would take him over Carson Wentz in that aspect. But this is the problem. I've seen Matt Ryan for the past couple years take dumbass sacks that you don't have to take. I mean, the man took a sack in the Super Bowl from holding on to the ball too long, and people keep saying intentional ground. Bro, you could have threw that ball up there near Julio with the game he was having, and he would have known to either bat that out of play. He would have tried to make a play on it, bat it out of play, or he would have been close enough to it where it's not an intentional ground. And Matt Ryan, to me, take a lot of, and I talked about this all year this year. Matt Ryan take a lot of dumbass sacks where I'm like, bro, you done been in the league way too long to still be taking some of these goofy ass sacks. Like, go back and watch. You don't have to travel far to see the evidence. Go back and watch games they played this year where Matt Ryan is taking some of the most absurd sacks where you like, Matt, just throw the fucking ball away, bro. Like, what are you doing? One of the games they had on primetime this year, I think it was a Thursday night game, he did like a pirouette or something, like he could escape the sack, where he escaped the sack the first time, I believe. And he should have thrown it away after that because he had the opportunity to get out of the pocket and whatnot. But he did like a pirouette or some shit, like he was fucking Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen or some shit. And then eventually just took an even worse sack. Like, I can say he got a better football IQ or a higher football IQ than Carson Wentz. But when people look at how Carson Wentz makes some of these just wild decisions he makes sometimes, in the same breath, I'm looking at some of the shit Matt Ryan, some of these goofy ass sacks he take, and I'm like, bro, how does somebody who done been in the league this long, done won an MVP, done been to a Super Bowl, done been a franchise quarterback of a team this long, probably is a Hall of Famer at this point, how in the fuck is he still taking some of these goofy ass sacks, bro? Like, it's mind blowing. And what's weird to me is I think people judge you sometimes based on if they like you or not. Matt Ryan haven't really done nothing for people not to like him. So instead of people, acknowledging that Matt Ryan is not the same Matt Ryan he used to be, like this is not Matty Ice anymore, people would rather say, oh, well, he didn't have this and he didn't have that and he didn't have. Bro, you could just look at the game and see it was chances for the Falcons to win certain games, and Matt Ryan just didn't have it. Whether it be he couldn't get the ball to certain people, he wasn't, his arm wasn't strong enough to get it to certain people, he just wasn't making good reads at times. He dinked and dunked a lot last year also. Like, I just don't think Matt Ryan that y'all think he is the quarterback that he really is. I think y'all think he is a certain type of quarterback because of the weapons he done had throughout his career. Julio, Roddy, Ridley. And I'm not even mentioning like his number 2 receivers that's usually great number 2s, because Roddy became a number 2 at one point in time once Julio became the best receiver in the NFL. Not to mention he had Julio for the longest, and most people will just bring up Julio for Matt Ryan, saying like most people, if any, don't get to have a Julio for the majority of their career in his prime. The motherfucker had Julio Jones, who was considered widely the best receiver in the league for a while. And he also had Tony Gonzalez. And you never hear people say, well, he had Tony Gonzalez at the end of his career. Because Tony Gonzalez every single fucking year in Atlanta was a baller. And he still could not find a way to get it done. So, listen, I definitely don't think Matt Ryan is trash. I'm definitely not saying that. I think Matt Ryan is a good quarterback. I just think Matt Ryan is an overrated quarterback because a lot of people like Matt Ryan. He's giving you no reason not to like him. So instead of really breaking down his situation, realizing that he done played with a lot of great fucking players, you would rather say, oh, well, it's not that he washed or that he fallen off. It's just he didn't have weapons anymore. Well, a lot of fucking players don't have the type of weapons that Matt Ryan get through the majority of his career. You're not saying that they, just don't have weapons. You calling them trash, saying that they can't make it happen make other guys better and shit like that. So, while I'm not saying Matt Ryan is trash, I'm also saying the Matt Ryan that was so great that won MVP with all that, those phenomenal weapons around him, maybe he wasn't as great as you thought he was. Not to mention, even as great as you thought that Matt Ryan was, this is not the same Matt Ryan, okay? That was Matty Ice. This is not. So, while I do not think that this version of Matt Ryan is trash, and I do believe a great offensive line and a great running game can help him a lot, I still don't know how great he really make the Colts. Because, listen, I've been saying this for the last couple years with the Colts, because when they signed Phillip Rivers, everybody was like, oh, this is a Super Bowl contending team. And I was like, how? Because Phillip Rivers couldn't take the Chargers to the Super Bowl, let alone the playoffs. This motherfucker got better weapons in San Diego / LA than he has in Indy. It makes no sense to say that just because the offensive line is better, that this will be a better team. Because at the time, the Colts was still a better all-around. I mean, not the Colts. The Chargers, you could make a case, was a better all-around team anyways. The offenses was no comparison. And this was before Jonathan Taylor broke out. Jonathan Taylor, even as a stud he is, the Chargers offense is still by far, to me, better if you switched out. Because it's the same offense basically that Phillip Rivers had. Like, the only difference is he don't have no Antonio Gates now, who, mind you, he had for every year of his career basically. So, I don't want to trash Phillip Rivers, but when Phillip Rivers went to the Colts, to me, it didn't move the needle for me. Like, him going to the Colts didn't mean, oh, the Colts are now a Super Bowl contender. When they got Buddy last year, Carson Wentz, did not think that this was a Super Bowl contender, because I'm like, the weapons in Philly were not great. The weapons in Philly were better than the weapons here in Indy. And the Philadelphia offensive line, when they were healthy, were a great offensive line. I thought people did just stop realizing that Carson Wentz, as good as he was in that 1 year, he is very inconsistent, which was one of the biggest problems in Philly, because it was winnable games there to be had in Philly. And he just could never get it right in big games. He was inconsistent. I said, I don't understand how this make them a Super Bowl contending team. And now you give them Matt Ryan. I don't know how this makes them, even more so now, I don't know how this makes them a Super Bowl contending team, because you look at the other teams in the AFC. Justin Herbert with the Chargers. Since we were just talking about the Chargers, let's keep it going. The Chargers have Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, Mike Williams. I cannot even remember the tight end they have at the moment, but I think it's Cook still. They have a two-headed beast on defense now, not even including Derwin James. I'm talking about 2 pass rushers in Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. Indy is not better than that team. There's no way you would take Indy over the Chargers. Let's go to the Broncos. Now they have Russell Wilson. They already had a great defense. They have young stud weapons, Sutton, Judy. They have different type weapons on there. You're not telling me that you think the Colts are a better team than the Denver Broncos right now. It's no way. Either you hating on Russell Wilson or you're wild. Let's move to the Chiefs. The Chiefs just added Juju Smith-Schuster. I was saying the Chiefs really wasn't getting better this offseason. That's why I could see them falling in the division. I don't want to make that, I already done said what I done said, but I don't like betting against Patty Mahomes. And somebody brought to my attention TikTok, which I literally pay no attention to TikTok. I was told the other day that the TikToks in Kansas City gonna go nuts this year with Jackson Mahomes and Juju Smith-Schuster, and I actually laughed because I understood that joke. Not to mention, I actually, after having a conversation with my homie, I kind of understand to an extent now why the fans did not like Jackson Mahomes. Because basically what my homie described is the reason they didn't like him was basically the same reason I don't like Juju Smith-Schuster to an extent. Because I think Juju Smith-Schuster, I'm not one of them people who say, bro, you need to just worry about football. But when you are clearly nowhere near what you should be on the field for the, past 2-3 years, bro, clearly you're not putting nowhere near enough time on the field or into getting better at your craft than you is at this TikTok shit. And listen, I'm not trying to hate because I know how that sound. And I'm not saying the man shouldn't be worried about his off the field shit, like endorsements and career. I'm all for that. But bruh, you clearly falling off. People clearly clowning your play, my G. But hey, I guess that don't matter to some people. Like, it'd be different if Juju was out here balling. Then I could care less about him doing TikToks and shit like that. I mean, and truly, I could care less to an extent to be now. Because ultimately it's their decision. And if ultimately they end up falling off and not becoming what they, people thought they could have became or what they thought they could have became, people gonna always use this against Juju. So that's what he's ultimately setting himself up for. But I would think after the last couple years, Juju would think to refocus in now. Like, he playing with another number one receiver. Basically playing with 2 number ones now. He can be a number 3 to Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. I actually think this is a great landing spot for Juju. Based off of how Juju play, I think Juju is more of a slot receiver, but he can play outside. I think he gonna be, and I think McCole Hardman is still with the Chiefs also. I think the Chiefs offense did just get a lot better adding Juju. See, it's just based off of who add who. It's like, to me, Marquise Brown, if he were in Kansas City, or before Green Bay had got rid of Devontae Adams, if he was in, you see, that's what I'm saying, bro. Like, the Packers could have made so many different moves to bring over receivers that were good enough to be number 2s to Devontae Adams, yet they kept relying on these dudes who were clearly not number 2s opposite Devontae Adams. That's why I really don't feel bad for them. You know what I'm saying? And I really doubt that Aaron Rodgers, unless they make a big time move or something like that, it's hard for me to see them winning that division this year. But back to the Colts. I like Matt Ryan. I don't want to, because this all going to sound like I'm disrespecting Matt Ryan. At the end of the day, I already know that's what it's going to sound like. But that's not how I want to take it. I mean, we done got through those teams in the AFC West. Now I'm looking at Baltimore. If Baltimore come back healthy, with the addition of Marcus Williams in the safety spot, Frank Clark, Juice, Marlon Humphreys. Now, I am concerned with Baltimore's front and their linebacking core because they have not addressed that yet for some reason. They have not signed Bobby Wagner, which I'm starting to feel like they're not going to sign him. I do not know what's the hold off on these motherfuckers like fixing up the linebacking core. And they tried the signs of Darius Smith, but in my opinion, you did not really try. You lucked up with him falling for a bad contract at first, and then the luck ran out because he got out of the contract. So to me, Baltimore still got a lot to do. But a healthy Lamar Jackson with these weapons getting better and whatnot, regardless, you're not taking Indy over to Baltimore. Baltimore wasn't even healthy last year and they beat Indy. And then they beat Indy the year before that. So you're not taking Indy with Matt Ryan over Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. Let's go to the Bengals. The Bengals done got better on the offensive line. They add Lael Collins. They add another dude in free agency. I can't remember his name. Obviously, they still got those monsters on offense. You're not taking those dudes over Joey Burrow and the Bengals. Let's go to Deshaun Watson and the Browns. Let's say Deshaun Watson plays. You're not taking the Colts and Matt Ryan over Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns. Because you can say all you want to, who do he got? He got Amari Cooper, and that's better than anything that Matt Ryan has over there, including Matt Ryan himself. So you're not taking him over them. Let's go to the Steelers. You can make an argument the Steelers are a better team than them, even though, yes, I would possibly take Matt Ryan over Mitchell Trubisky, even though that is not 100% thing for me. I could still make an argument that the Colts could be a worse team than the Steelers just based off of the Steelers' history and how good a coach team they are. So that's not a definite thing. That's the first questionable one, but that's definitely not a definite, yeah, I take Colts in that situation. So, I mean, to me, I'm leaning more towards Steelers in that situation anyway. So, boom, you hop out of that and you go to their division. Yeah, I'd take them over the Texans because the Texans are clearly in a rebuild. And yes, but no, I wouldn't take them over Tennessee. Yes, I do like Matt Ryan more so than I do Tannehill. But the fact of the matter is Tannehill still got weapons. They just got Robert Woods. A.J. Brown and Robert Woods are better than any weapon that the Colts have. And I like Michael Pittman Jr. But, it is what it is. No receiver on that team is better than the two receivers that Tennessee put out on the field. And you can say what you want to about Tannehill. Yes, I do not think Tannehill is a good quarterback either. But if Derrick Henry is healthy, they're going to be able to go back to doing what they do, having Tannehill throw as less as possible. He won't be the dude they rely on. They can operate through the running game. And while I do think that has a ceiling playing that way, it always will. That's why they haven't won a Super Bowl or even gotten to one, because this way of playing just does not work. That's what's going to help them win games, and that will be good enough, in my opinion, to beat the Colts. But that one is an iffy one, too, even though I love Tennessee's front on defense. And I personally would still take Tennessee over them. So that's another one. Then you go to the other team in their division, Jacksonville. Yes, I would possibly take them over Jacksonville. But again, that is not a definite either, in my opinion. Now, I would lean more so towards the Colts. But that's not a definite either, because I like Doug Peterson. I think Doug Peterson is a good head coach. Yeah, obviously, if you listen to me all year, you know I like Trevor Lawrence, and I just thought he was dealt one of the absolute worst hands in any rookie could have been dealt. I mean, I was reading a report the other day that this fucking moron, Urban Meyer, didn't even know who the fuck Aaron Donald was. How the fuck do you not know who Aaron Donald is, bro? That's the best defensive player in football, and you don't know who that is. And that, people could say that's, Urban. Bro, that's not on Urban Meyer at the end of the day. That's on Shad Khan. He hired that motherfucker, bro. So if Urban Meyer is a bozo, then Shad Khan is an even bigger bozo. He's an even bigger bozo. Because he's the motherfucker that hired the idiot. And he the one who's still paying Urban Meyer. So you just think about that. But the reason I am leaning towards the Colts, but I mean, I'm not going to, Trevor Lawrence got a good head coach now. He got a dude who actually going to be able to train, who are going to be able to help him develop and whatnot. So, like I said, I would take them over the Jags, obviously. But, who knows what could happen in Jacksonville this year with an actual adult at the helm. So, just looking at how I just went through every division in the AFC, I just don't know. Oh, and obviously, no, I didn't. I'm not taking the Colts over the Patriots right now, even though I would possibly take Matt Ryan right now. It's just so hard, bro, because Mac Jones could have been being held back by Josh McDaniels. But I forgot to mention the Raiders. I'm not taking the Colts over the Raiders. I forgot them in the AFC West. I'm not taking them over the Raiders with Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow. That pass rushing duo and Max Crosby and Chandler Jones. No fucking way I'm taking them over the Raiders. There's no way I'm taking them over the Patriots, in all honesty, because I just trust Belichick more. And it's not like Matt Ryan is he dicing up a defense anymore. I'm not taking them over. I would take them over the Jets, obviously. I would take them over Miami. But those are some of the absolute worst teams in the NFL. Not to mention, I keep saying it, I done named over half of the teams in the fucking AFC that are legitimate teams that could contend for a Super Bowl this year. The AFC is about to be nuts. But for those reasons alone, it's just so hard for me seeing Indy competing for a Super Bowl. Like, so many things will have to go their way, and go wrong for every other team. Because you would have to legitimately get through about 6, 7, 8, 9 teams before you get to Indy being the next team that I think could realistically win a Super Bowl or come out of the AFC. Because I keep saying, like Matt Ryan, this is not the same Matty Ice that y'all keep thinking he is. And listen, I think Matt Ryan is a good little holdover for the Colts, but this little musical chairs game that the Colts keep playing at quarterback will eventually grow tiresome. Either it's going to get Chris Ballard fired or it's going to get Frank Wright fired. Somebody going to get fired if this game of musical chairs at the quarterback continue to go on. Y'all should have just bit a bullet and tried to start developing the next quarterback. Now, what I will say is this. It was a smart move not going for Baker Mayfield. I will say I would take Matt Ryan right now. It's even hard for me to say this to an extent, but I'd take Matt Ryan over Baker right now. And I think it's so funny that I saw Skip Bayless say once, why doesn't Cleveland just go ahead and release Baker so that he can watch teams line up to get him? And now the report says no fucking body wants him. Now, I'm pretty sure you could see Skip Bayless making an excuse for that shit too, but Panthers are out. The Panthers would rather go into the season with Sam fucking Darnold in his next year than to go with Baker fucking Mayfield. Think about that. I mean, just think about that. They said, fuck Baker Mayfield. We don't see the potential. We'd rather keep Sam Darnold. Now, I still think Baker will ultimately end up with the Lions somehow, some way. Because to me, that just makes too much sense. But I mean, at the moment, it's looking like Baker competing to be a backup somewhere. Because like I said, if none of those bad teams go out and get him, none of the good teams, most of the teams in the AFC legitimately do not need Baker Mayfield. And all the bad teams would prefer to be bad so they could get high draft picks for a quarterback rather than go with Baker when they could just start over with a cheaper quarterback for the next couple years in the draft. So not only do it not make sense to go for Baker based off of his talent, but it also don't make sense to go for Baker if you're one of those bad teams in the AFC based off of like future, off of what you think he could be. Bless me. Off of potential and shit like that, because like I said, you can go get a quarterback in the draft. So Baker Mayfield legit might not be a starting quarterback. Now, I do think if a quarterback go down this season, he could possibly end up getting traded to a different team. Like if Sam Darnold go down for Carolina, I could see Carolina trying to make a trade for him. I could see it happening in in Detroit. But at the end of the day, I don't know who. I think what's ultimately might have to happen is that he might end up having to get released. Like that might end up being the thing that ultimately happened, because clearly nobody. Now, this could all just be a lie. Bless me. Shit. This could all be a lie. There could be teams out there who are actually interested in trading for Baker, and they just not saying it. Because remember, Deshaun Watson, they was announced that he had the Cleveland was out of the thing, out of his options, and then boom, next day, Cleveland Brown. Bless me. So clearly those headlines really don't mean shit, and the reports don't mean shit till shit actually happens. Like I read a report on Twitter the other day from Bleacher Report, not Bleacher Report, from Pro Football Focus, I think it was, that Odell's, I don't know what's going on tonight, fellas. But the tweet said that the team with the highest chance to land Odell was the Ravens, bro. You know I snapped, right? You already know I went nuts. Like, get the fuck out of here, bro. You get Odell Beckham to Baltimore, bro. So Lamar Jackson can show Baker Mayfield ass how to use him, even though he probably won't be with Cleveland. Now, what Baker need to hope happen is that if Deshaun Watson is suspended at the beginning of the year, here come another sneeze. If Deshaun Watson is suspended at the beginning of the year, he need to hope he play those games and ball out. That way he can raise his trade value. You know what I'm saying? Had to pause the show till I got that sneeze and shit under control, man. That shit was getting out of control. But picking up where we left off, what Baker need to hope happen is that if Deshaun Watson is suspended at the beginning of the season, what he got to hope is that he can play those games, if it's a significant amount of games, regardless, and show something that would make teams that need a quarterback say, well, we'll take a chance on Baker even if it's for like a year or two. You know what I'm saying? Because if not, then Baker about to end up being a backup quarterback for somebody for the next couple years. He about to be competing to be a backup for the next couple years. And that's definite. And now in hindsight, boy, I know he wish he had to sign that fucking contract extension that Cleveland offered him. But in hindsight, also, Cleveland is ecstatic that he didn't. Because, boy, could you imagine the dead cap and the money they would have to owe this motherfucker if they had actually extended him rather than picking up his 5th-year option? So I don't know what's next for Mr. Midfield, but listen, I told you, ever since that day, that motherfucker told the reporters, like, we knew if we made him throw, when referencing Lamar Jackson, that we could beat him. Mind you, Skip Bayless lied on Undisputed this morning, saying that Baker and Mayfield done won a lot of big games in Baltimore. That is an absolute lie. He won one game in Baltimore that had some type of meaning, I guess, because his team made the playoffs that year, but that was not a big game. Mind you, he did not ball out in that game. Nick Chubb balled out in that game. The other game he won in Baltimore, bruh, Tyler Huntley was the starter, not Lamar Jackson, my guy. And he still almost lost that fucking game to Tyler Huntley. Lamar Jackson went down on like the second drive, and Tyler Huntley played the absolute majority of that fucking game. And he still almost won the fucking game. And that's with Tyler Huntley starting. So, miss me with that Baker Mayfield done won. Like, come on, Skip. Like, you just straight up lied for your boy, bro. Like, come on, my guy. The man is beating Lamar Jackson once, and it wasn't even because of him. It was because Nick Chubb and the defense. But y'all will never give him credit for that. Even if you go back, watch that game, you still won't give him credit. You'll point out all the little dink and dunks that Baker Mayfield made that was so great. So, hey, I don't know what's next for Buns Midfield, but hopefully he lands on his feet. And we'll see what happens with them progressive commercials, because that definitely ain't Baker's house no more. And I don't imagine they would like to talk to Deshaun Watson about a commercial about making that his house. I just can't imagine that that's the route they're trying to go at the moment. So, very interested to see what happens with that. But with that being said, the AFC is loaded. I told you, we done talked about over half of the teams is fucking stacked. Everybody in the AFC West is a legit team, in my opinion. Every team in the AFC North is a legit team, in my opinion. Yes, even Pittsburgh with Mitchell Trubisky. The Patriots is, to me, a contender. The Bills is legitimately a contender, obviously. It's so many fucking teams in the AFC, dog. Like, this is about to be a hell of a season. This is about to be one for the books, one for the ages. And I think right now, in this AFC, and I done said it already, Mac Jones Because I know some people don't think the Patriots is going to compete for like one of the top teams in the AFC, even though I do think they will be able to compete as a top team, especially if they can develop Mac Jones better than what they was doing last year by trying to hide him all year and have him do the absolute bare minimum. I honestly, I don't know why I got fucked up right there in the words, but I honest to God think that Mac Jones ain't gonna end up leaving New England. For the simple, man, and even though he might not, I really wish he did, because to me, what Bill Belichick did to Mac Jones that Thursday night football game where he ran the ball like 50-something fucking times, I believe it was, and only threw 3 times. Demasculating your quarterback like that on national TV for the world to see, and how that completely changed their season after that. Yeah, you just can't have that. You just can't have that. To me, that was one of the most disrespectful things I've ever seen a head coach do to his quarterback. Like, one of the most disrespect. And I like Bill. I think Bill a great head coach. But I think ever since he done lost Tom, he might have lost his way a little bit. What I know is he would have never pulled that bullshit with Tom Brady. And most head coaches that's trying to build the confidence in their quarterbacks and trying to, turn a quarterback into a franchise quarterback wouldn't pull no bullshit like that either, just because of the elements and whatnot. You would expect your quarterback to be able to throw the ball in high winds and shit like that, in the snow and the rain and all that type of shit. Yeah, sure, you would like to rely on your running game a little bit more in them type of games and them type of environments, but you don't demasculate your quarterback like that on national TV in a game like that. Not only do you demasculate him, it don't get no better from that point on. Because of how you did not develop him the way you should. And I said all year what was going to happen when it came time for him to actually have to start being a quarterback. How he wasn't going to be prepared, not because of him, but because of how Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick done handled him. Like, I legitimately, by the end of the season, felt bad for Mac Jones. Because he was catching a lot of hell and a lot of strays for shit that had nothing to do with him. He legitimately was trying to be a great teammate and a great rookie. Now, yes, was he perfect, and did he do say and do some things that you probably would not want to hear a rookie say because he needed to be in a rookie's place? Sure. But at the end of the day, I think that the Patriots with Bill and Josh did far more damage to Mac Jones than they did. Now, he would never admit it, obviously. But somewhere down the line when Mac Jones had a great career, won probably a Super Bowl, played in a lot of big games, done a lot of big things. One day he will talk about how Bill Belichick handled that game. Somebody will ask him about that game. Possibly me. And somebody going to ask him how he truly felt in that game. Because there's no way, like I done said multiple times, that a quarterback grow up thinking to himself, playing in his backyard, saying to himself, I want to hand the ball off 40, 30 plus fucking times. Not one. I told you, when quarterbacks having bad games, they don't want to get the game, turn around and hand the ball off just because they threw 3. I guarantee you right now, you ask quarterback, hey, you throw 3 picks in the game, what's the next play you want to do? Throw it. I promise you they're not going to say, I want to turn around and hand it off. So, to me, that's just my feelings when it comes to Bill and how they did Mac Jones. But if they really put a great system in place and try to legitimately develop Mac Jones, not just have him dinking and dunking, I think Mac Jones could be good. But if not, I pray Mac Jones hold out and his agent hold out and get him the fuck out of New England. Because if this is what they're going to do with Mac Jones for the next 2, 3, 4 years, they are going to be wasting him. And what he need to do is understand that the Patriots are probably not a team that'll try to throw a franchise tag on you or some shit like that, bruh. If you play hardball, they will more than likely let you walk. So just play hardball if you know for a fact you can get to a better team that got a better system around you. Because I really have a fear that Mac Jones might have went to the worst situation, contrary to what people might have believed, for a quarterback who wants to progress and become a game like a top-notch quarterback. Like, and it's nothing wrong with Mac Jones wanting to be a great quarterback as far as like putting up the good stats and the big stats and shit like that, and being mentioned in the sentence with Lamar, Patrick, Josh Allen, and all Joe Burrow, all those type of quarterbacks. There's nothing wrong with that, especially when you look around all through the AFC and you see nothing but great quarterbacks littered throughout the AFC. You don't want to have to play the way they just forced him to play. So at the end of the day, if this is the way they continue to try to force Mac Jones to play, I really do think it'll be a conversation between he and his agent about, you know what, we could possibly get you somewhere else where they'll actually let you be a quarterback rather than a glorified handoff guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a very good place out there where you'll be throwing more than just dinking little dig routes and slants every other play. Well, every other drive, because they basically gonna have you turning around, handing it to Damon Harris and all other type of running backs the majority of the game. So that's just me personally on that. But I want to hop back to the Colts, because when I was thinking about all the teams in the AFC, right? Bro, I don't even think the Colts going to make the playoffs, because I don't think they're going to win that division, because I like the Colts defense. The Colts secondary is not that good. Kenny Moore is a great player. Kenny Moore II is a great player. Darius Leonard is a great player. I seen that secondary throughout last year. They've made no significant upgrades in that secondary. I do not, unless I forgot a signing or something, I do not think that the Colts put enough pressure on the quarterback either. I think they need to go out and get a pass rusher somehow, a legitimate one, because Darius Leonard is not a pass rusher. He's kind of like a do-it-all guy. And even then, I think he a great tackler. He great in coverage. I would say to an extent he not even the game record at, and he do get a lot of turnovers. So I'm not even gonna say that he is a absolute game record, but not really a sack artist. I think if you gave him a legitimate pass rusher beside him or opposite him or something, that would do wonders for this team. Not to mention, I believe Darius Leonard don't even play middle linebacker anymore, which is kind of weird because his skill sets is more of a – because Darius Leonard kind of remind me more of Levante Davis, who played for the Buccaneers. I hope I didn't get his name wrong. He not really a pass rusher. He a coverage linebacker. Like, he great in coverage. Like, he can follow tight ends, slot receivers for the most part, and be great in coverage. Now, I'm not saying he can't get to the quarterback and sack him on a great design blitz or something like that, but for the most part, that's not what he doing the majority of his career. And that's kind of what Darius Leonard remind me of. Now, the beauty in Darius Leonard is he get the strips, he knocked the ball out and shit like that. He get what they call it, the peanut punch. He very great at that. So when you don't really get a shit ton of sacks, but you great at getting tackles like a Luke Kuechly type of player, it's great when you have that to your game. Some type of way to force turnovers. You know what I'm saying? So I like the Colts players that they have on the team at certain points. I just don't think all around this team. And another thing is Frank Wright, to me, don't move the needle for me either. Because I'm like, yeah, he might be a better coach than Nathaniel Hackett for the Broncos, but I still like Russell Wilson more than Matt Ryan and Frank Wright. And Russell Wilson has never played with an offensive-minded head coach and was still somehow a phenomenal quarterback with Pete Carroll. Shit, people like to give everybody else excuses. You could excuse Russell Wilson's every year how he started to trail off at some point in time. He have a gap in the season where he play horrendous. You could put that on play calling and just not playing for a great offensive-minded coach who can elevate his game instead of making him have to be the dude who elevate his game all the time. And listen, I understand athletes are responsible for their greatness, but they are not 100% responsible for their greatness. Yeah, they hold the biggest part of it all because they got to want to be the ones who put in the work at the end of the day. But a coach is hired to teach, to make you better, to help you improve, especially when you're an offensive-minded coach or an offensive coordinator. Russell ain't never had that. He will have that in Denver. And he'll just have, to me, better weapons. Even though I don't really want to shit on Tyler Lockett because I like Tyler Lockett. And I know Russ liked Tyler Lockett. And he and Russ done some great things together. But I just think, ultimately, these weapons in Denver will shine through a little bit more than the weapons he had in Seattle. And that's no shot at Tyler Lockett or DK Metcalf. Where the fuck is Jimmy G gonna land? It feel like they've been trying to trade Jimmy G for the longest at this point, or have they even been trying to trade him? And at this point, I heard people, I've been reading, and listening to the people who've been like, there's almost nowhere left for a quarterback to go. Yeah, in the AFC, but it's NFC teams out there. To me, even though the Vikings paid Kirk, that is still a team in need of a quarterback eventually. The Panthers need a quarterback. Who else? The 49ers, you don't know what you're getting with that quarterback quite yet. The Seahawks need a quarterback. The Lions need a quarterback. Unless you high enough or crazy, drunk enough to think that Jared Goff is the answer. So to me, it's definitely teams in the NFC. The Falcons need a quarterback. Mariota is not the long-term answer there. It's a ton of teams in the NFC that need quarterbacks. But what I think is listen, I done said multiple times I know what Jimmy G is. But what I think is if Baker Mayfield doesn't have a market, then I don't know how Jimmy G, if Jimmy G doesn't have a market, then I don't know how Baker could have a market. Because even if Baker is younger than Jimmy G still is a more proven winner than Baker. And you can make all the excuses in the world saying, oh, he won because of this and that and this and that. Like I said, at the end of the day, Kyle Shanahan's record is completely different with and without Jimmy G. So the numbers speak for himself. Not to mention when Jimmy G is rolling. Now, like I said, Jimmy G can make 3 great plays in a row, and on the next fucking play, make a throw to make you say, Jimmy, what the absolute fuck? Why would you make that throw? But in the same breath, Baker Mayfield can do that throughout the entirety of the game. Baker Mayfield can legitimately play a game, multiple games in a row, where he don't put not one great throw on film. I done seen it with my own 2 eyes. And then he'll complete like some wide open 10-yard throw or 15-yard throw, and people are like, oh, what a great throw by Baker. I mean, I would hope he can make it. He wide open, and he did just overthrow and underthrow the last couple of open players or dudes who was open enough to complete the passes. And, all these little short out routes, that the basic throws that Baker can make does not impress me. And like I said, it's been multiple weeks, and I know it's going to be nerds that's like, oh, well, you can't make the throws. Listen, I'm also not paid to try to make those throws or to make those throws. Compared to the dudes that are paid to do it, Baker Mayfield just ain't one of the top guys. And so you can talk all you want to about Jimmy G, but when Jimmy G rolling, he is a better thrower of the football than Baker Mayfield. I can put together highlight tapes of Jimmy G's best throws and Baker's best throws. And Jimmy G's highlight tape is going to look better. Now, I already know what some people are going to say. Well, he got George Kittle and Deebo Samuel. Listen, all I'm going to say is, when will the excuses stop for Baker? I mean, one excuse after another. At this point in time, it's not even one after another. It's 5 after 5 after 10 after 10. Like, it's just getting higher and higher. The excuses don't run out. The well of excuses for Baker it will not run dry for some reason. But y'all motherfuckers gonna see when the motherfucker is a glorified backup. Not even a glorified backup, a struggling backup in the next couple years. You're gonna see. But went off on a little tangent right there. But I don't know. And I do think Jimmy G will eventually be traded. I just think the 49ers might have been asking for too much, possibly, knowing what you know about Jimmy G, knowing that he ain't worth no first-round pick, regardless of the resume that he done put forward. Like I said, you could talk about all those Super Bowl wins that he got, but those was Brady's Super Bowl wins that he happened to be a part of. The one that he was the star quarterback in, he didn't win. Now, granted, he did get a team there, helped get a team there, but he didn't win it. And that's still more than what Baker can say. And I believe I think the key to getting any quarterback is having confidence in your own organization and whatnot. But at some point in time, you realize some quarterbacks just ain't it. But there are quarterbacks who can be great within certain circumstances. If you put Jimmy G, who clearly done shown you he can take a team to a Super Bowl and to an NFC championship game, if given the right weapons and put in the right system, he's shown you what his ceiling can be. I don't understand Baker when you take out Baker's best season. Motherfucker got taken out after the first round of the playoffs, even though that first win in the playoffs really had nothing to do with him as much as it had to do about Pittsburgh imploding. Mind you, people seem to not give Chubb credit or anybody else. But regardless, like y'all do with Jimmy G, how y'all say, oh, it was everybody else. Regardless, in Baker's height, his season ended after the first in the second round. Jimmy G's height, both times, if you want to really, and not to mention Jimmy G really didn't play good in the playoffs last year. Not really, he didn't play good in the playoffs last year. Still got help his team get to the NFC Championship game, and like I said, got him to a Super Bowl. Was a missed throw away from being Super Bowl champion right now. So if the market ain't really there for Jimmy G, which I still, like I said, for the right picks, I do think Jimmy G will end up being traded to a team eventually. The Seahawks will really make a lot of sense. I just don't think he want to go to Seattle, even though I think when the options start to dwindle the way they have, somebody would really like to hop over there to Miami if they didn't think that Tua was going to be the guy for too much longer. But, either way, football is going to be a blast this year. Football's going to be blast. Hey, I would encourage Raven fans, man, to stop hating on Darius Smith for making a decision that was best for him and his family. All right. But listen, I read a thing today, or I listened to a show today where it was like the New York mandate is basically not getting lifted. That is, that bad boy is indefinite. So Kyrie will definitely be missing games in the playoffs when his team make it. Not to mention, I read a report also, Ben Simmons has a herniated disc in his back. So he probably ain't playing at all this season. And man, I don't feel bad for Kevin Durant because clearly he picked this team to play with. He chose to play with Kyrie. Ben Simmons, he wanted to trade. Listen, I'm not blaming him for none of this, even though he did choose to be with this team. It's just amazing where he came from and where he is right now, man. And I'm not one of them people who going to hold over his head, oh, why you left Steph Curry in the war. No, I'm not going to be one of those jackasses. But I will say, man, it looked kind of crazy the longer we go away from that, him being with the Warriors and where he is now. It's just kind of crazy. Because I do kind of feel like this organization is an organization that won't really capitalize on KD's greatness. Not because they don't want to, because they not really an organization that's been trained or that's done it before to know how to. That's why superstars usually want to play with LA. Because LA done shown you what they can do with superstars. They done managed superstars greatly. They done managed superstars' career. They done helped superstars get championships and off the court endorsements and shit. That's why teams that's why superstars choose to go to Miami. Because they see how Miami and the organization over there help expand, up their career and shit like that. So I just think that if Brooklyn was an organization known for, really going all nuts with when they got superstars and right now the history is that they lose superstars. So I'm just very interested to see how Brooklyn handle this entire situation, because at the end of the day, if Brooklyn want to capitalize on KD's greatness, they will say, fuck it, we are capitalizing on KD. To me, it's kind of like what Cleveland doing right now. Cleveland know that they done put together a team that is good enough to get to a Super Bowl. All they need is a quarterback. At some point in time, Cleveland sat down and made a decision. Listen, we don't care how it look. We don't care how people perceive it. We are going to get Deshaun Watson. And when they made that decision, it was two things that happened. They had came to terms with Baker Mayfield is not that guy. He is not going to be that guy. And they also came to terms with we do not care about the perception that we have, because we believe Deshaun Watson can win us a Super Bowl. That's why you make that move with somebody who got those allegations. That's why you pay that type of player $230 million at that position with those allegations, because you think that at the end of the day, At some point in time, he is going to get you to a Super Bowl and contend for one every year. That's why you make the moves that Cleveland just made, because you sit down and you tell yourself, I want to win. We want to win by any means necessary. And when you decide that you just want to fucking win and all, just period, these are the type of decisions you make. Now, based off of the type of person you are, you make the decision to judge how you decide to judge it. I have no problem with the Cleveland Browns have done, because I understand what the NFL is. If Cleveland didn't make this move, somebody else would have. And you just would have been mad at that team too. And if that team didn't make the move, somebody else would have did it. So as mad as you want to be about the moral aspects of all this, at the end of the day, in the NFL, as it is in every sports league, it's about getting better. It ain't about feelings and anything like that. But what I do want to say is, it's real funny how they like to label all these black receivers as distractions and whatnot, right? What is Baker Mayfield at this point for Cleveland? A big fucking distraction that brings nothing to the team but distractions. So I just thought that was real funny. And when you're a guy like Baker Mayfield and you handle the team, like when he was talking about Duke Johnson and things like that, talking about Lamar, when you do shit like that, bro, I told you, I've been praying on his downfall ever since, bro, and I don't care, bro. This is one of the only few human beings I ever legitimately sat back and was like, you know what? I'm going to make the decision to hate on this motherfucker. I'm going to hate this motherfucker till the wheels fall off of the hate train. Did his downfall come a little bit quicker than I had anticipated? Not really. Really was just a year off, I'd say. Not really. I wanted that UNC play tonight. Hey, you know what I said about UNC, man. Hey, don't matter who we beat when we beat them, man. I don't know the team's names once we beat them. Dead ass. We beat that team that was ranked number 1 the other night. Don't know their name, could care less what their name is. We beat them. Now we about to beat this next team we play. I think we finna play UCLA out of, if I'm not mistaken. I think we finna play UCLA. Don't quote me on that, because if the next time you hear from me we done beat them, I'm definitely not gonna know who we played at that point in time. I'm telling you right now. By the time you see me again, if UNC done beat UCLA, if that's who we playing, like I really don't truly know the name of the team we playing right now. If we beat them, no shot I'm going to know the team. Because it won't matter. And I'm just telling you right now, Duke getting knocked out either this round or the next round. I'm just telling you right now. It is a shot that if Duke win their next 2 games and Carolina win their next 2 games, we can meet Duke in the Final Four. And I want that to happen. I'm just telling you right now. I'm not scared. I want that to happen. But I will say this, man. The refs might bullshit and give Coach K them dubs, dog. Because if you don't, bro, I don't watch college basketball for the simple reason the referees are atrocious. I done said it multiple times on the show, but the college basketball referees are bad, yo. Just go watch a full college game, bro, and tell me how irritating. It do feel like to me college basketball referees think that they come to the game for people to see, that people come to the game to see them blow whistles and wave their hands for fouls and all this type of shit. It's embarrassing. The NCAA is never going to do anything about it because they keep reaping in millions and billions of dollars. So when organizations do shit like this, these type of organizations are much like these businesses that make a lot of money. But when you get into the belly of the beast, you realize how absolutely trash it's ran, like the Washington or Carolina Panthers and shit like that. Because people get to sweep shit under the rug when they make a certain amount of money, and you can afford to sweep shit under the rug until the dam just gets so over. It's so much water in the dam that eventually it bursts and all the shit come out. And if you Jerry Richardson, you can pay to have it all disappear. You can just sell the team and be gone and not have to deal with none of it. But you know, it's funny how that all worked out. Maybe that's why Carolina still ain't succeed, man. I don't know, dog. I don't know. But listen. WrestleMania is upon us, man. WrestleMania is upon us. I promise you, by the time I blow up, this will be known. It's going to be a sports channel regardless. But Much like I talk about how we're going to have like the football network on here. We're going to have, the baseball network on here. You best believe we're going to have a wrestling network on here, big dog. We're going to have a wrestling. And listen, I know a lot of people who listen to me don't get to hear, you might be huge basketball fans, right? And you don't get to hear basketball get talked about a lot. And you heard me lie to you so much often when I was talking about in the football season. Oh, we're going to talk about basketball when it comes, when the All-Star break happens. That's going to be when the season starts and blah, blah, blah. And I haven't watched a single fucking game since the All-Star break. But I promise you, when the playoffs roll around, I'm in there with the teams that actually got players on it that I would sit and watch. And even then, I'm not going to sit and watch full games. I'm not even going to sit and watch the full games in the finals, depending on who's playing. It's just not going to happen. NBA refs don't make it so that you can sit and watch a full game anymore. It's not possible. Because they dictate so many of the outcomes in these games that it's just ridiculous. Like, they start runs. They stop runs. They help teams go on. They help teams come back. They help teams stop. They stop teams from coming back. Like, the ref can dictate games in the NBA so much. Like, people think it's bad in the NFL. I promise you, you've seen nothing if you don't sit down and watch a couple games in the NBA and just watch how absolutely bad the NBA refs are. Like, and listen, they are nowhere near as bad as college for the simple reason I don't even watch college basketball anymore because of it. However, the NBA refs have become so bad that I do not watch full NBA games either. I only watch the second half of games. So, you do with that information what you will. But what I will say is this. I hope that you enjoyed the fucking show. I hope you did. I really do. I don't say that much, so people might think I could care less how you feel about it. No, I hope you enjoy the content that I put out, obviously. If people not enjoying it, then what are we doing? What am I doing? But listen, don't judge your whole life off of that, though. All right. Like, I'm just bullshitting right now. Don't actually take that and be like, man, if nobody fuck with what I'm doing, what am I really like? No. I instantly take it back. Fuck it. Forget it. Never said it. Have a dope fucking day, night, afternoon, whichever point in time you listen to it. Tell somebody else to have a dope fucking day, night, whichever point in time you fucking with them and seeing them, and decide to throw them that compliment away and those words of encouragement. Hey, tell them, you look good today, my guy, my queen. Tell somebody you fuck with them. Tell somebody you love them. Say now.
Hey, right out. Got my niggas in the bag blowing white outs. We gon' bump this shit real deep into the night house. Keep it 199, just ain't my style. Seen the time, staring out the window of the night route. They never ever understood for the most part. Hey, wonder how them niggas treated Mozart. Hey, did they try to put him on the Zoloft? Oh nah, I was penalized for being too alive. 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 I was